Every single person is going to be affected at some point. So this is why I hate it being so like taboo a lot of the times when you bring it up. Like people do feel like it's like you've got to, you know, tiptoe around it and you can't say this and you can't joke about it. And I just think, why not? We're all affected by it. So many of us use humour to cope. It gets people talking more and it feels like they can be involved in the conversation.
This is The Summit by Fearless Adventures. I'm Dominic McGregor, and every week my co-founder David Newns and I will be talking to inspirational leaders about their experiences as they strive towards their summit. Today I'm joined by Rowe, who has been creating content about her cancer journey. She's reached millions of people across social media and has helped people in very difficult times. I've just found out that both you and I are actually sharing something in common. You know, we're both actually in Hollyoaks in Real Life series, so your episode is after mine. So I'm really looking forward to that, but I'm very excited to hear the story from you first.
Yeah, first of all, it was fantastic. I watched your episode the other day, and I literally didn't even clock, walked in and saw you, and I was like, It was a great episode.
Yeah, how did that even come about? You know, you've grown through socials, you've told about your story. Why did you kind of see this moment in your life where, you know, people would probably look at it as like, you know, horrible time, diagnosis as a time to like, no, I'm actually going to go out there and tell the story?
I think when I first started to properly like make content, I initially did like a YouTube series and I called it the Chemo Chronicles. I'd had my first diagnosis, I went into remission, I relapsed about a month later.
When was your first diagnosis?
That was in 2020.
2020.
And 2019 I think, and I was 20 years old. And I did pretty routine treatment. And then when I relapsed so soon after, they told me that I had to do this thing called CAR T-cell therapy, which was very new at the time. Like, I think only 170 people had it on the NHS. So this was very much like, still a very scary thing. There wasn't a lot of information out there. And when I was looking into it and speaking to my doctors, I was like, my God, this is terrifying. And when I was like, okay, I'm going to have to go through with this, I thought as a film and TV student, what a better thing to document than me going through something firsthand where there's not a lot of information for people to, like, if they're about to undertake CAR T therapy, they have no idea what it's going to be like. And I thought, I'm just going to do as much as I can and show people the realities of it.
How did you find the confidence to do that? You know, when you're going through something which is, you know, I was at a charity ball for a breast cancer charity, and they talk about the process of how chemo is so degrading, you know, you lose your sense of identity. How do you find in those moments the confidence to be like, no, actually, I'm at my worst? You know, you said it so blasé there. I was a film student, so I thought, what great to document it. But how do you actually find the confidence to be like, no, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to wake up every single day after going through horrible treatment, like I'm going to share?
Do you know what? I think, I always say it's really weird. I feel like in a way cancer is a superpower in that sense. People might think that you like crumble and you break down, but for me, it changed everything in my life. It changed my perspective. And all of a sudden, all these things that I'd wanted to do my entire life, I've always been very much into film and TV and acting and all of it, but in front of the camera, behind the camera. And I would always make videos and I would just keep them to myself because I was worried that people were going to be like, oh, what a weirdo. Like, you know, because when you first create content, you're not going viral. It's people at your school seeing it and probably thinking, what a freak. So you don't want to put it out there, do you? Because it's only when you're actually doing well that people go, oh, I love your stuff and that's great. But no one wants to take that initial step of doing it and having to go through the crap where people are going to talk about you and send you into their group chats. And anyway, when I got diagnosed, I was like, no one can really say anything about me right now because it's like you're going to look like a bit of an arsehole if you're making fun of the girl who's trying to, you know, just do something positive. And so it honestly felt like this superpower and everything in my life changed. I feel like I became a totally different person overnight, the person that I was supposed to be, because I was like, no one can say anything. And if they do, that's on them. And they just literally are making themselves look terrible. And then it just kept on rolling from there.
So that perspective there, you know, of what you just spoke about, that kind of resilience, you know, I don't care what people think. You found it at a dark time. How do you think other people can find that? Because it's the best way to live life. You just said it.
Yeah. I mean, it's really hard. I feel like before you do the things that you want to do, but you're scared of how you're going to be perceived, it feels like you're standing at the edge of a cliff and you're like, you just can't make the first step, can you? And I always say to people, like, it's never going to get easier. You're never going to wake up one day and go like, oh, I don't fear this anymore. I feel great about this. Let's just go for it. Sometimes you just have to go. And I promise that once you take that first step, everything else becomes so much easier. Like, I find it crazy to think now that I'm posting videos every single day where I look rough, you know, I'm hungover and I'm doing this or whatever. I'm posting very like vulnerable content that most people would just keep really private. And I find it crazy that I'm at a point where I'm not even fazed by that anymore. I would just put something up and not think twice about it. And there was a period in my life where I would sit there hovering over Instagram and, you know, oh, how many likes has this got? Do I need to take it down? Have enough people interacted with it? And it's miserable to live that way, constantly waiting on other people's permission to be you, basically.
You, such a young age, got a diagnosis, and what were the plans beforehand? Did you have a roadmap for where you wanted to head on? Did you have a mind of, I want to be this person?
So I was meant to be going to California a week before I got my diagnosis. I got accepted to California State University, which I was like absolutely over. I was over the moon about it. Like, they had said at my uni, like, there's no point even applying. Like, people don't get accepted in here. And I got accepted, and it all felt very surreal at the time. And I just had something in the back of my head being like, this is too good to be true. Because I remember I hadn't even packed my suitcase.
Could you picture that? Could you visualize yourself there?
No.
Was there just like this blocker?
I couldn't visualise it. And I don't know if that's like a sixth sense or what, or because it was just a big change, but I could never see it actually happening. I just thought, this is way too good to be true. And then, I didn't pack my bags because something was holding me back. And then I obviously got that diagnosis, and I was like, okay.
When you got that, were you ill? Were you feeling, what kind of led you to go through the kind of first initial steps of like...
I didn't really feel ill. So the only symptoms I had, which were very small, so I had night sweats twice in about a 6-month period, but like drenching. So like you wake up, the sheets would be soaking wet.
Yeah.
And fatigue. I had really bad fatigue all the time, but as a uni student, you're just kind of like, yeah, we sleep all day and then we'll go out at night. And it's very normalised in uni culture to be like that. And it was actually not until I had swollen lymph nodes, it was like a tennis ball in my neck. I think I had about 20, 30 tumours by that point in my neck and chest. And it's incredible that I didn't notice, but I suppose a lot of them were under the surface, and it grew very quickly because I had high-grade lymphoma. So literally in the space of like 2 to 3 weeks, they were just growing at an insane rate.
So literally, a bit tired and a couple of sweaty nights.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you wouldn't think
why
anything of it.
Why did you go and get checked out then?
My girlfriend told me that I looked like a man. She came in the house, and the first thing she said to me, she was like, you look like a man. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, you've got an Adam's apple.
Oh, Adam's apple, yeah.
And I had literally by my front door, there's a mirror, and I turned, and it was the first time I looked at it, and I was like, oh my God. And
then did you feel it?
Yeah, and I touched it, and it was horrible.
Really?
I hate that feeling. I still get funny touching my neck and my chest now, because, yeah.
And you go, you just felt this isn't right. Yeah, so you had the offer.
Yeah, so we basically went and got that checked out a couple days later, and I was quite lucky that they sped through, because I think they knew it was obviously something was really messed up.
Yeah.
And then I got my diagnosis fairly quickly.
What was that period of time between first going?
I think probably 2 weeks, maybe.
2 weeks.
So to go from literally thinking that I'm going to be living in California, Cali girl, like whatever, and then no, you're a chemo girl, like
Cali to chemo.
Yeah, Cali to chemo.
God. So life's torn up completely.
Yeah, I even tried to, when I first got into remission, I reapplied to go to California again. I was like, it's fine, like we'll go now. And then I relapsed again, and I thought, do you know what, this is a sign from the universe that I'm not meant to be doing that. It's just not going to happen for me.
How do you tell people? How do you tell your friends? How do you walk back to your girlfriend and say, thank you, my life, this has just happened. Like how, my own experience of this is that my cousin had leukemia when he was 4 or 5 years old. So he was so young that he couldn't express his emotions and he didn't know what was going on. But, go from your perspective, you kind of got relationships, you've got everyone expecting you to go and be a Cali girl. What do you do? Is it LinkedIn? Is it a Instagram post? Call people? How do you handle that?
Oh my God. Right. So I'm basically the opposite of a hypochondriac, and I ignore everything. So people would kind of it got the gist that something could be wrong, because I was actually joking on it on my private account. I probably brought this upon myself. I changed it. It was called Shelly Poo, and I changed it to Necky Poo, and I was putting up memes of my neck saying how fat it was and all this. And
after you got diagnosed?
No, before. So this was before. And so we were all joking, like me and all my friends were joking about my fat neck and all this stuff. And then it was like really awkward to be like, oh, God, guys, this is actually cancer. And I think I just I texted it to most people. I obviously told my girlfriend in person, but I can't even remember telling her, because the problem is I've relapsed so many times. So I've had 4 diagnoses now.
Yeah.
That it's hard to keep track, and it got to a point, it was like a running joke in the end.
Yeah.
Because it would be 1 month I'm texting, oh, I'm cancer free, and everyone goes, woo, and I'd just send, if I relapsed, I'd send guys ... and everyone knew it was coming, and now I forget that I did that.
Yeah.
So anytime I send a message in my group channel, I go, guys, and I might just be saying, do you want to book this for the weekend? Everyone panics because the lie's coming again. But we just found it funny in the end. It was getting so ridiculous to be so on and off.
What was driving the relapses? Is just,
No idea. Honestly, they said that I just had an extremely aggressive lymphoma. They don't really know why it caused it. It just was a bit brutal. I mean, I did 7 different types of treatments, and every one of them, so I'm nearly at my record now. I've just had a stem cell transplant, well, actually a year ago, but I'll be a year cancer-free next week. Before that, my record was 8 months cancer-free with CAR T therapy. The other ones I only managed a month between treatments. So very up and down.
And how anxious are you about it coming back?
It's gotten easier, to be honest. I feel like I can't.
It?
Yeah, I'm accepting the fact I can't change it. I've just got to get on with things and live life to the fullest while I can, and whatever happens is going to happen, and me sat here worrying about it all the time isn't going to change that.
God, it's so your outlook on life is what everyone is searching for. And unfortunately you found it through horrible circumstances, but it's so powerful listening to you speak, because it's what everyone says they should be looking for, and you've got it. You've managed to think about it in such the most horrible moments.
I think it's weird because I never expected so many good things to come from. Obviously, it's a terrible situation. There's a lot of downsides, but I would never change it. If I could go back and they would say, "Oh, you would never have it," I would be such a totally different person. I don't even recognise myself from 3-4 years ago. Just
so
every single aspect.
This is going to sound crazy, but you just wish cancer upon yourself.
But
no, I know. I'm laughing about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's obviously when I first got diagnosed, I was so bitter. I was like, this has just stolen my life from me. I can't believe I'm going through this. Why me? And now I feel people say everything happens for a reason, and it sounds really cringe, but until you've gone through something like that, and you may not see it at the time, and there have been times where I think, when you get to your 3rd, 4th relapse, you go, all right, I'm not seeing the reason anymore. I'm not seeing it. But still, every time I'm like, okay, give it a few months, give it 6 months, see if you still feel that way. And every single time I go, okay, it was actually because I hadn't learnt this yet. It was actually because I hadn't had the confidence to go and do this yet and take these opportunities that are still coming to me off the back of what happened with that, because I decided to turn it into a way to make opportunities for myself.
That's the thing. I said the same thing about drinking. It's I did some destructive things when I was drinking, but the day I got the most drunk and said I'm never drinking again was the best day of my life, because the day my life started. I got over that demon. I got over that problem.
I love that.
And I could I can face it. And I talk about it. It's someone asked me what advice would you give to your 18-year-old self? It's well, I always knew at some point I was going to be an addict. That's in my personality traits. I'm all or nothing. So I always said, get through it quicker. Do it quicker, drink more, figure out hit your rock bottom quicker, and then you can start your life, because it was going to happen. I always was going to happen at some point. So I'd rather get out of the way at 23 than when I'm 53 and haven't got the energy to battle alcoholism, or I'm so far down the line that I've got liver sclerosis and I'm that. So.
And I think you learn a lot of valuable lessons in that time. Going through those difficult things, I don't know, it just shapes you as a person. You see things so differently that's why I just can't imagine the person that I probably was 3-4 years ago, probably a lot more selfish, maybe less empathetic, like just a whole bunch of things that I would like to think I am now, and I'm more thoughtful, and all those kind of things that I just don't think I would have been, because I suppose I'd never really had to deal with much adversity before then. I'd had quite a privileged childhood. I was very lucky, and like as a white woman, like I didn't really have to go through anything. So when you're actually put in a position where you're in a more vulnerable group in society, like your perspective to everything, like you're seeing things that you didn't see before, and it just changes you for the better.
And you talk about kind of what's come off the back of it. You've created that, haven't you? You don't give yourself any kind of injustice, but you've created everything that from that day that you've seen. What have been the kind of peaks in what you've done? What kind of moments stuck out to you and think, oh God, that was a special moment?
I think, oh God, do you know what? There's been so many recently that this is why I just feel like I've had a lot of blessings that it's actually hard to pick. Definitely filming the Hollyoaks in real life. That was really surreal for people to be interested in my story and feel like, they want to share it, and hopefully it can help other people. And being in the Lewis Capaldi video for Forget Me, that was crazy. The fact that I'm coming up to my 1 year cancer free is another like huge moment for me. And even down to the little things, right? When I get messages from people and they'll just say, you helped me through this time, or like I lost my brother, my sister, my parents, and like we used to watch your videos and we laughed at them, and like it really brought us some joy. Like that means just as much as the doing the big videos and stuff like that with Lewis. It's like to know that you've actually had an impact on people. I don't know, I still find that so crazy, because you put stuff out and you just think, I'm doing this for me, and then when someone tells you how it's impacted their life, you just think, yeah, I've got to keep going with this. Even if it's a few people, it means the world.
Yeah, God, it is that, isn't it? It's just the little messages of people saying thank you and you've helped me. Do you remember your first message you got from someone? Oh, well, that really sticks into you.
That's a while back. I always remember one message. I think this girl had said, so her dad had been really sick, and she just said she hadn't heard him laugh or smile in months and months, and she came up the stairs one day and she was listening to her mum and dad just really giggling in their room. And she went in and they were watching my videos, and she just messaged me and said, thank you, I've missed his laugh. And that one really got me, because I was just like, I don't know, that means a lot to know that people can enjoy your videos in that way.
Well, it's like the thing about something you've gone through is it's the ripples of how it impacts people. It's friends, it's family, it's associates, it's life. And that's what that news that went through your life as like a sound wave, knocking things over is the same thing what your content is doing people the other way. It's not necessarily the people suffering like you that need it. It's the ones around them, and that is so meaningful to see that. Just the power of laughter, the power of what you've done, helping someone who's deeply struggling with a situation.
Quite cool to think about, because people often say like social media is like this, it's so like surface level and it's toxic and all these things. And I think maybe you're not using it right then. It doesn't always have to be. Like, I know it can be, but I don't think my profile and the content that I put out is doing those kind of things. And when people say, oh, social media, and they turn their nose up, I'm like, but when I read those messages, I think it's very naive for people to say like, social media is no good, because I think that would have never come out if I didn't have TikTok and have the platform that I have on there. And yeah.
Well, like you said, so what you went through, 170 people or something so rare, that information doesn't exist, and that's the one thing that social media has done so well, is it's given everyone access to content, to information instantaneously.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think the one thing I love about TikTok is that, maybe Instagram and other things that are centered around aesthetically pleasing things are not the same as TikTok. TikTok was built with this kind of fun intention of like, let's just have a laugh, don't take ourselves too seriously. And I think that's what people like yourself have really brought to social, and TikTok has brought to social, is that genuine fun. and that genuine, like, let's not take ourselves too seriously, and let's go back to what, back in our day we'd call it Vine. Do you remember the Vine? Oh my goodness, what Vine was such a great period of time. But that's what it was about.
I totally agree. That's the thing. I feel like TikTok just gave everyone an equal opportunity to like post their stuff, and it's just more authentic. That's how I feel anyway. And you don't have to be like glammed up to the nines like you see in Instagram models. It's really hard to grow on Instagram. So like it'd be way more difficult to try and spread that message on that platform.
But also a glammed up picture at a restaurant doesn't get likes now versus a video asset. And I think this shift has come from influencers who might have got where they've got to for aesthetics versus creators who are getting where they get to based on their actual content output and like video, longer form, intelligent content versus this. Look at me eating a coconut on a beach.
If I get to go on holiday, I'll be that girl too. I'll be that girl.
Yeah. Because we were talking before to some of the people here. We were saying that the evolution of social media has been so crazy over the last 10 years. When I first joined it, it was, I was on Instagram to find out pictures of Thailand. I was like, oh my God, that's what Thailand looks like. I've never seen this before. But now, like, everyone's seen a picture of Thailand. So it's like, now content is allowed to evolve because we want to see different stuff. We don't want to see that girl with coconuts. We want to see something new, something original. And that's what you are bringing to it, is you're bringing this completely new style of content in an area which people might have been too scared to talk about. However, you guarantee, you ask anyone about the C word, it's impacted me, probably everyone in this room, at some point in their lives, and it will. Because I think one in 3 people.
It's 1 in 2 now.
1 in 2 now, is it?
Yeah. That's the thing. Every single person is going to be affected at some point. So this is why I hate it being so like taboo. A lot of the times when you bring it up, like, it's been such a huge part of my life.
Was it bad me saying the big C word?
Huh?
Was it bad me saying the C word? I don't know.
No, it's fine. But this is the thing. This is why I do what I do, because people do feel like it's like you've got to, tiptoe around it, and you can't say this and you can't joke about it. And I just think, why not? We're all affected by it. So many of us use humour to cope, and I don't know. It gets people talking more, and it feels like they can be involved in the conversation. Like when you're actually like joking and being open and honest and things. Like people will just ask questions like, "Oh, this might be a silly question," but I'm asking. And it's like, there are no silly questions.
Is there a silly question? What's the silliest thing you've been asked? Go on.
I don't think. No, actually, okay.
There is a silly question.
The silly question I get, people always used to think they're trying to catch me out for faking cancer. They go, well, why have you still got eyebrows then? That to me is my silly question. Because people don't understand, like, all different kinds of chemo affects, like, so some people you could have chemo, you wouldn't lose any hair. Some chemo you would have, you'll be guaranteed to lose all your hair.
Yeah.
Some it's mixed in between, right? But it's always kids, and they'll be like, but she's got eyebrows. I don't think she's got cancer. And I'm like, guys, please, I promise you, I'm not faking it. I've literally got pictures of my tumours on my Instagram. Go check it out.
What, because of the eyebrows?
Yeah, because they're like, she's got hair. Because obviously people think like, if you have cancer,
people lose eyelashes as well, don't they? Lose their eyelashes as well.
Yeah, you can lose it, but I never totally lost my eyebrows and my eyelashes. They thinned, but like.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, people always think that I'm faking it because I won't have had like total hair loss. I'm like, I don't know what more you want me to post. There's like so much evidence out there.
God, and you get that a lot? You just get that kind of like denial, faking it piece?
There's a period I kept on getting the comments, so I put a video out. I was like, guys, by the way, you can still have eyebrows. But it does make me, they make me laugh more than anything.
It's just trolls.
Yeah, it's either trolls or it's kids that genuinely don't know any better. Yeah.
You're not had any major trolling incidents?
Oh, definitely had major trolling incidents, but it's got lesser. People were mean in the start. God, I think people can be quite intimidated by like women with short hair sometimes, and I had a lot of like kind of homophobic comments, and then like people would just tell me to die. Basically because they didn't like the way I looked, and like they were like, your cancer should kill you, and all. It was like crazy at one point, but again, that's on them, that's not on me. I'm not going to be affected by I know they're miserable people, like happy people don't go and comment that on other people's stuff. Like I've never felt compelled to say that to someone, so you just got to kind of feel sorry for them.
You didn't get be the Cali girl, that didn't happen. But that kind of, as we spoke about, the passion for cinematography was still there. You went and just made a documentary?
So it was like a drama, what do I call it, like a drama comedy kind of thing. So I took a gap year after I had CAR-T therapy, and then when I came back, I made my graduate film called Sense of Tumour, which I directed and DOP'd. And this is another example of like where I'd say like, wait, you don't know what it's going to turn into, and like you can't say that something's bad, because from me going through what I went through, I ended up being able to direct and do that for my final year film, which if you would have told me in first year, I never ever would have like put myself up to do that.
What grade did you get for it?
I got a first. I graduated with a first.
Yeah.
Can't remember the individual marks, but
was it something you were proud of it? Or yeah.
Yeah, I was really proud of it.
Yeah.
We had such a great time filming it as well. Like, you know, it's on YouTube. If anyone wants to catch it,
we'll make sure we put the link for it.
But yeah, like we had such a good time filming in it, and like it was everything I kind of envisioned for it to be.
Yeah.
So it was really fun to take that experiences that I'd had with cancer and put it into, like, for me, like creating art. I'm always going to want to do that. I'm a very creative person, so I still like plan on hopefully making a second film, short film. So yeah, we'll see.
We'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
Perfect. So, you know, the product called The Summit, and we speak to people about kind of, you know, what their Everest is, what they're trying to reach. You know, where is it for you? And I bet, you know, in the past 4 years, it's changed so much.
God. Do you know what? I don't even think I have a particular goal in mind, because the way that I live right now, my plans don't go very well, right? When I plan for things. So my life now is just kind of, I wake up and I say yes to all the opportunities that come to me, and I never know where it's going to go. And I find that so exciting that, you know, I went from having a very rigid life plan and I want to do this and graduate, and then I'm going to move straight into, I want to be a cinematographer. I still want to do cinematography, but like I thought, yep, we're doing this. And maybe I'm going on a little detour now, but it really excites me to think, okay, before I was like, okay, I want to work in film and just that. And now I'm like, okay, maybe I want to work in podcasts and presenting and graphic design and like everything. Any opportunity that comes to me, I'm just going to say yes.
And yeah, what you've been for the last couple of years is going to be the reason you're successful in what you do next.
Hopefully.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I feel inspired. I feel like I've learned so much from you. I feel like, you know, your wisdom for such a young age, what you've been through, is so like incredible just to listen to you and how you approach things. And I think people listening can really learn a lot from the way you approach things. And, you know, you don't need to have cancer to think like that. You know, you've learned that because of what you've been through. But I think what you've learned is a lot of the times the key to happiness and the key to fulfillment in the way you think.
100%. It's totally down to perspective. In my opinion, anyway. Don't cancel me, but that's how I feel.
And your eyebrows look great.
Thank you. They're coming back in.
It's just been incredible talking to you about it, and well done for everything you've achieved, and the message you continue to spread to people is so incredible to see. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
If you enjoy the podcast, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and we're also going to link some resources and links below for anyone who might have been impacted by what they've heard today.